Tell me what you know about this song.
Tell me what you know about this song.
No, you tell me first. You say you know about it already.
All right, so I know it's a folk song. The dates way back to the early turn of the century, not the latest century.
Yeah, I was going to say. Go ahead.
So, basically, it's unattributed. It's just there's lots of versions floating around for many, many years. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people say that it would be the basis of ideas. Even though Jim Croce says he has other ideas, it obviously makes you can draw similarities to Bad Leroy Brown.
Well, there's a lot of versions of this song that is actually called Badly Brown.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Exactly. And there's also versions called Cocaine Blues. Mm-hmm. And depending on which version you hear, different lyrics.
Yeah. I don't really explore any of the different lyrics because I didn't want to muddle them up in my head.
However, there's another song that's murdery about the wife that is not a direct lyrical transcription, but it is quite possible that it influenced it, and that is Hey Joe.
Right. Well, so the thing about this one is, like, in the body of the first verse, the murderer went out one night to make his rounds, met little Sadie, and shot her down. Okay, so I've always pondered what does that mean? I got up to look around my property, and was she lurking around on the property? Was she... It's been guessed at that she's either a wife or a girlfriend, but if he met her outside of the home, was she stepping out on him? If she was a wife or girlfriend, was she a woman of the evening? And he just met up with her. Was she just walking home from somewhere and he just happened to be out doing things?
I think I don't think it was he was out doing things. Like, I was perceived make my rounds as in being getting around. Like,
okay, so there's an old term. It's called it is called get around, but it's if you get around on someone, that means you're being dishonest and you're trying to... I have to look it up because I really wasn't thinking about it. And it's not a term used in common vernacular.
There's also the way that it's used is like...
But if you're a rounder, you're a dishonest person.
Also like being promiscuous, like she gets around.
Right. So, maybe he was out making...
He's making his rounds.
He was out making his round with the lady folk.
That's how I've always kind of perceived it. He's making his rounds. So like maybe going to like check in with his ladies, and for some reason he's not getting along with little Sadie.
I guess not.
Even a name like Little Sadie, like, I don't think that would be the way you referred to your wife, even though I've heard it speculated that it was his wife. But
I never felt like that might be, close intimacy there.
It might be the lyrics that we hear that paints a,
well, also, over the next couple verses, she was evidently incredibly popular because when he woke up the next morning, by the time, how incredibly cold is it to go murder somebody, then you go home and go to bed with the murder weapon under your pillow? No. How about just no sleeping? No. Anyway, so all of everyone in town was lined up ready for her burial by 9 a.m. So or before 10 a.m. So the gamblers, I've always guessed, the story I tell myself is that the gamblers hadn't gone to bed. Mm-hmm. They discovered her perhaps and then rallied everybody else in the town. But they were all... You had the buggies, which is a hack. All the buggies and the gentlemen. So the regular townsfolk had enough respect for this little Sadie person, along with the gamblers, who I think were most likely to have found her in the middle of the night.
I don't think so I never perceived it to be finding her. I always perceived it to be just a brazen murder, like in front of everybody. And then he went home cold, went to bed.
You know what? That makes sense too, though, because they knew who they were looking for. But
yeah, they found him so easy that I was just...
He was the only one that ran, though.
He just was like, I want to go home, and just basically,
They should have gotten him before then.
Yeah, well, there was slow movement. I think there was lots of witnesses. I was perceived it that way.
Okay, I can get behind there were maybe lots of witnesses, but also...
Or at least witnesses that saw him coming and going.
Also, I think it could have been investigation by process of elimination, because if he was the only one that just packed up and left, and people knew that he maybe knew her or frequented her, or that he had this specific type of weapon that could have done the damage to her, then just, hey, aren't you that guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
well, he fessed up to it, and he went to prison for it.
So the whole story takes place originally, from what I understand, in Carolina, South Carolina, specifically.
How?
So Thomasville's in South Carolina.
Oh. There's no other Thomasvilles?
Well, it's like just a known, like the history of the song. So Thomasville, and then Jericho is actually a known plantation in the flatlands.
Okay.
So he fled to the plantation to try to maybe blend in with the workers there, and
wow.
Which makes me think that.
Well, he was in the town when he got caught, according to the.
Jericho.
Yeah, he was standing on the corner reading the bell, which I found interesting because he was. I take it to mean he was reading the wanted poster
of himself.
Mm-hmm. But then the sheriff comes up and he's like, "Hey, isn't that you?" But then he asks if there's any papers that they need to be read to him. So I don't know that he was able to read, just more looking at the poster, taking in the poster. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've been unclear.
Yeah. So he got caught.
Yeah. Well, also I read
he spread quickly as he traveled, apparently.
I read a little blurb that there was a piece of lyric found outside of a prison that was dated back to 1912, they thought. Mm. And so there's a little conjecture that perhaps it was a true story of a prisoner that they had turned into lyric form.
Well, in a lot of these early songs like this, they were never really written, right? Like a lot of them were like somebody would hear somebody perform it, somebody else would pick it up and add their own twists and recite it, replay it from memory, and things would change over time, So there's a little bit of
or artistic license is taken.
Of course, like we take artistic license
for sure.
With songs that we cover. So
I mean, some things sing a little bit better, or you lose some things over time, like we were talking about that vernacular. Mm-hmm. So you want to make it more accessible to the current listener audience. But yeah, it's a tale of murder and justice.
I like the bluegrass versions that I've heard of it, but it probably started more as just more of like a folk blues type of ballad, I would imagine, and then of course picked up later on and transitioned, and of course we had the elements of the bluegrass. And I think the first time I heard it was off an album called The Pizza Tapes that was Tony Rice and Jerry Garcia playing on. So of course I was interested right away because of the guitar hooks, and the interplay between the two. And I think it fits really well with a lot of the bluegrass standards through the years.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has similar themes and, melodic structure. I think it fits really well. I like it.
Yeah.
I think the song "Chris" was good to us. It was the first time that when we did our original cover of the song, it was the first time that the Grateful Dead shared it on their webpage, which was an honor and like a first surprise to us of like somebody outside the band kind of supporting the band, and it was like a shot in the arm, that even though obviously the Grateful Dead as a whole unit's not around, but whoever's operating their pages now,
their socials,
or saw it. It was part of their Dead Covers project, so that was nice, and that was very encouraging to keep going in the early days, when we didn't have a lot of history behind us or know if we were.
Well, it was fun to participate in, number one. Understanding, like, you're putting a piece of music out there, and if you're not familiar with the Dead Covers project, the Grateful Dead, usually every year.
I thought in the past. I don't know. Somehow this year it seems like it didn't happen. I really missed it.
I don't know. We had a lot going on at the beginning of the year, so we did not participate this year, whether they had it or not. But they open up for fans of the band, people who are musicians or aspiring musicians, to put out a song, and usually they'll give a little bit of like a brief to follow.
Sometimes they just choose any song. Sometimes they'll give you small rules, like
Yeah.
choose something from this album or
Exactly.
choose something from this era?
Well, we did this song, Little Sadie, which is one that was seldom covered by the
I think
Grateful
like
Dead.
maybe less than a handful of times.
Mm-hmm.
Like one time that I know that I seen them do was at Radio City Music Hall when they did their acoustic sessions, and I think maybe the possible reason they were doing it was technical issues on stage, and it was something that Jerry knew
From the Jerry Garcia band,
it,
yeah.
and you could tell the band, the members that were playing along, some of them were trying to struggle to catch up because it does have a measure where it drops 2 beats. So like if you're not familiar with the song and the timing, then you can get lost fairly quickly because the chord changes don't necessarily fall like in a manner that you would expect.
Yeah. So I think that lent us just a little bit of sparkle.
Yeah.
Within that realm, within that community that was already there with the Dead Covers Project, because it was so seldomly covered by them. Yeah. But we enjoyed it, and we put our offering out there, and they shared it to it was their Facebook page, wasn't it?
Facebook, and I believe they definitely shared it on their Facebook, and of course on their website as
well. On
their
website. And it was really cool for us, especially at that time. We didn't have a lot of people watching the Sunday Shout Out. I think we only had 1 album out at the time, maybe 2, or we're working on the second. Yeah. And we were just trying to get our feet underneath us, and to watch the viewership because of their promotion of our version of the song, to watch the views just climb and climb and climb was really exciting in the moment. In the
grand scheme of things, it didn't garner like a ton of views.
Not a ton, but it was fun. It was a lot for us.
Yeah, at the time, it was like our first video for 5,000 views.
It was our first one. It hit a lot of firsts. I think it was our first one that hit 1,000 views.
Probably so.
At that time. And to watch it climb up to...
first Sunday Shout Out.
Yes, absolutely. To watch it climb in real time, we could actually watch... in our analytics, it climb was super exciting.
We had even more success the following year when we did Morning Dew, and that song, I think, doubled what we did with Little Sadie because maybe because of the popularity of the song,
It went the other way. The pendulum swung the other way.
Yeah.
But it's such a beautiful song. I think we might need to revisit Morning Dew.
We talked about like adding that to our sets more, but
yeah, maybe.
I think that I like these songs that can be Americana / bluegrass, but fit into like a blues rock type of band or jam band. So it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Well, they definitely tell a story. Like, Little Sadie is a story song, and Morning Dew is also a story song. So you've discussed a lot of times enjoying a story song.
I do like a story song.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Looking forward to next week.
Always fun playing music with you.
Always.
Hey friends, Ashley of Sugar Lime Blue here. I wanted to draw your attention to something we've started doing on our Facebook. We've been featuring one of our special Sugar Lime Blue tie-dye t-shirts weekly. Here's an example of one of them. You guys seem to be enjoying this, so we're going to keep it up for a little while. So make sure you're looking for us on Facebook with our special weekly Sugar Lime Blue tie-dye t-shirts.